WHF champion is going to lead us away as we have the 5 red lights on. And they're out as the drivers head away down into turn 1. Cookie's got a great start, so is Seth. Already ahead of Apple. Apple's bogged down off the start. Down to P3, also has Hemi Dimes on his inside. Hemi dives it on the inside of AMS Apple. Beautiful start for the Ferrari driver. As Cookie gets a good start, so does Seth and Hemi Dimes. Apple down 2 positions off the start here as WHF stays ahead of Gordon. We've kept it relatively clean as in the background. Everyone keeping it together here. Not much chaos as Liam battling with Thori. From the Williams driver as he's got DRS and ERS engaged. Surely Seth gonna get into the lead now as he picks the outside of the Red Bull car and dances around the outside. And Cookie's around! Big spin for Cookie! Championship leader down and around! And Cookie at turn 1 losing a multitude of positions and may even lose out to Gordon. Down in P6 now as Cookie gets back in. Just down in P5, but Seth takes the lead as Cookie tried to be overzealous, wanted to keep his position. Meanwhile, Kevin Cal gets on the inside of Spoon Curve, gets out of Tie Clear, as Mallard gonna get down the inside of Tie Clear as well, as they charge down to 130R, and Mallard surely gonna get ahead of Tie Clear. Yes, he does. Tie backs out there. And through we go. Meanwhile, Apple on the rear of Seth now. Apple gets a lovely exit out of the final chicane now as Hemi Dimes sets the fastest lap. Apple will take the lead. Hemi Dimes make it down the inside of Seth as well, and Seth loses 2 positions for the price of 1 as Hemi on the brakes, losing the rear as Cookie trying to get back through on Rio Harris again. Trying to chase after Apple in the background. We see Cookie on Rio Harris as Rio gonna go defensive, pushing Cookie to the inside, and Cookie getting straight through on the Mercedes drivers. Hemi, Gordon on the rear. Is that Seth off? Seth and the Williams down from P3 down to P5. We didn't expect that. Seth has made a mistake through sector 1, and Thori has made a mistake as Cookie on the outside of Hemi Dimes. What's happened? Hemi's dropped down a bit. Has Hemi's tyres overheated? Has he made a mistake out of the dagness, which has opened the door for Cookie now to head into P2 as Apple goes defensive through turn 1 as Cookie sees the door open out of turn 1, and can he get the better exit? He does. Side by side they go through turn 2, through 3. Oh, both contact, both around. Apple's around as Cookie keeps the lead, and Hemi Dimes now up to P2 as Apple frustrated with what happened there. Oh, Seth losing the rear as we head down the hill, down to the entry. The Spoon Curve. Seth almost on the grass. Side by side they go. Contact with Hemi Dimes and Seth. And Hemi picks up a 3-second time penalty. We'll have to see what the stewards say about that one. As Gordon now gonna want to get punchy as well in here. As Seth gonna look on the inside of 130R. Risky place to be going for a move. As the Williams and the Ferrari go side by side. The Williams has to back out as Gordon around the outside now. Little bit of contact, I believe, with the Williams as well. That may cost him as Apple now on the rear of OMX as we head down to turn 1. Apple gonna try and dive it through on the Sauber. Side by side we go as Hemi now down to P5. What's happened? Hemi losing out to 3 drivers. The race win would be between Apple and Cookie as Apple now at Spoon Curve, catching Ollie unawares after that contact with Apple, as Apple now going to try and catch Hemi Dimes napping at Spoon Curve. Side by side they go as Rio Harris picks up a 3-second time penalty. Apple gets through on the inside of Hemi Dimes. Seth seems to pull the gap now to Gordon. Apple on the rear of Hemi Dimes picks the outside of Spoon Curve, and Hemi going to have to back out now as Apple gets through up into P5 now. Apple going to head after Rio Harris next as Apple on the rear of Rio Harris. Stephen Beecham defending from Tie Clear. Ty gonna pick the outside as the 2 rivals from last season swap positions yet again. Stephen down to P11 now as Apple now gonna pick the outside of 130R. What a risky place to be going for a move from the V-Carb, and dances round the outside, does the V-Carb. What a move as Rio dives it on the inside of the V-Carb. Side by side they go, and Rio now back through again as Apple comes in. Gears we go, putting pressure on the Williams driver. And Seth with a big spin, somehow has caught it. Oh my word, how's he caught it? I don't know. Oh, and contact between Seth and Gordon. And Seth looks to be letting through Gordon. I don't think Gordon knew that was happening. But Seth finally does let through Gordon. But Cookie will win the race as he rides the final corner now. The Red Bull driver will cross the line and win by 21 seconds in dominant fashion. Although the first stint was nowhere near that easy. After contact with Apple, it did become that easy. But it might not have been so easy if Apple didn't have that unfortunate spin, as Gordon gets a season best P2. Seth, for the first time in WHF, will finish on the podium. Meanwhile, Rio Harris may hold on to P4 as he's gapped Hemi Dimes and Ollie in behind, as Ollie will jump ahead of Hemi Dimes. Does Mallard get Hemi Dimes? No, he does not, as Apple gets ahead of OMX. Meanwhile, Ty Clear in P10, Stephen Beecham now down to P11, as Kevin Kell will finish in P12.